there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and I am an American. Though I'm gonna guess you probably already figured that out. And today's video is basically the things that give you away as an American tourist when you travel in Europe. And the thing is, I'm gonna start with this one, and it's usually that you hear us before we get there. Look, Americans are loud. Now, we're not trying to be loud, we're just loud and boisterous people. We love life, we wanna talk and share and just be loud. That's what Americans are. And when you go around and you travel, you hear us first. Now, we're not the only loud country out there. I'm talking to you, Spain. I'm talking to you, Italy. I know you're loud as well. But that's one of those things. People hear us coming before we're there. And here's another thing. They also see a part of us before they see all of us. Like when I walk into a room, usually it's my tummy that comes in first. Yes. We Americans tend to be a bit on the husky side. Hey, but don't worry, Europeans are getting fatter too, so they're catching up little by little. Haha! No, but honestly, usually Americans, we are a bit huskier. We're a bit bigger boned, let's say, a bit tummier, right? And so that's another way that people say, oh, Americans are there. They got the big old booties, right? So there is that. Now, another thing that I think maybe relates to that is the clothing we wear. Because American style and European style are very different. And the thing is, when you go around Europe, there's very much different styles. Like I'm here in Stockholm, and you think they never saw any bright colors. Everything is like a beige or a gray or a black or a white. Like, it's very solid colors kind of stuff, but not flashy colors. But I think there's kind of three things in terms of clothing that give us away. One, baseball caps. Now, I know when I talk about baseball caps, I get these people from the UK and the Netherlands. We wear baseball caps all the time. I'm like, no, you wear New York Yankees hats. If it's New York Yankees baseball cap, that could be a European. But Americans, we wear baseball caps all the time. Like, I have friends I've known for 20 years. I have never seen them without a baseball cap on. No joke. When I see them, they take it off. I'm like, oh my God, you're not bald? I thought you wore a hat because you were bald. I had no idea. Americans love their baseball caps. And when it's spun backwards, 100% American, okay? Now, I know some younger people in Europe or people doing exercise do use caps, baseball caps in Europe, but it's nowhere near the numbers like in the US. So all those are gonna comment though, we wear them all the time in Europe. Not like in the US, not like in the US. But that's one of the things, like being baseball cap. Another kind of clothing choice I see is athleisure. Now, you'll see in Europe, people do wear gym clothes and athleisure clothes, but that's because they're going to the gym or coming back from the gym. Whereas Americans, we sometimes wear the athleisure clothes as our actual clothes. Like, these are our pants, these are our shirts. And that is one of those things you kind of see different. And then another one that gives it away is actually shoes. Now, you think with how everybody loves shoes around the world that we all have the same kind of shoes. No, you get a little different kinds of shoes when you travel and how people wear them and where they wear them and how they don't want to crease them. I think the don't crease thing is pretty international. But I have students, when I take them around the world, they literally go to look at the shoe stores here to get different types of shoes because there is a difference. And continuing on with the kind of clothing giving it away, it's not just the clothing styles and the things we're wearing, but it's also the sizing of the clothes. Now, the fit of the clothes, which kind of goes into the number two I talked about our tummies coming in. You'll notice Americans tend to wear more baggier clothes, less fitting clothes. That's why when you come here and you want to buy your wardrobe, you're like, why is it so tight in the arms? Why is it always this slim fit butt thing? Like, do they have no butts in Europe? Not really. But you notice that Americans didn't have baggier clothes. We just have a baggier fit on our stuff, and that kind of gives us away. Now, next I have a low-key way. It's kind of like the counting thing in Inglourious Basterds, because Germans say three like this and Americans say three like this. Well, this one is utensil usage. How do you hold your fork and knife? In America, you have your fork and knife and you cut with your knife and then you switch your fork to the other hand and then you have your fork and then you pick it up and take a bite, then you switch it back to cut. A lot of places in Europe, you have the fork and knife, you cut and eat and you just kind of like shovel the food in that way without switching the hands. So that's one of those little, like, if you want to be a little espionage CIA kind of thing, that'll give it away. Now I have a couple annoying habits that Americans have that kind of give us away. One, we really love our phones. Like, people in Europe use their phones all the time, but I notice with American travelers, we are much more attached to our phones. It's like, I sleep next to you, you're my little sweetheart, I love you so much, don't let anything happen to you. Like, we love our phones. But where I really see it is when people are eating dinner or lunch or at breakfast at the hotel, you'll see the Americans will be on their phones all the time. When they're going around, they're on their phones. And the thing is, Europeans, they get on their phones too, but not at the same extent as you see Americans. So that's one of those things you notice. Also, if everybody has an iPhone, good chance it's Americans, because in Europe, they don't just got iPhones. They get a little bit of something else. Now, the other kind of annoying giveaway for Americans is the complaining. When Americans complain that they didn't get what they want, or things aren't just like it's at home, or why can't I pay in dollars, the kind of whiny complaining is, that's one of those kind of giveaways. You know, whether it's the, oh, I can't believe the line we have to do at the Eiffel Tower, or, oh, are the Germans always like this? Why don't they come take my order? Like, the little kind of complaininess, I mean, all tourists complain to their extent, but Americans tend to be more vocal with it because we're just more vocal people. And I think that's another thing I should say in terms of a difference is we just are like more voracious, we're more talkative, we're more out there, but also we're more oversharing. Americans, you meet us, we'll start talking to you and be like, oh, how was your day, sir? It was fantastic, but then I got a bunion on my foot, but this is so great. My grandpa was from Sweden and he told me about the motherland. It's so good to be back. And then, do you think my beard's coming in okay? Like, Americans will just share and share and share. They'll be like, oh, and then Nancy down the street, you know, she fell and broke her hip. And your waiter's like, did you want dessert? And that's just one of the things, it's one of the sweet things about Americans where you notice them. They just overshare on things, and they don't do it in a bad way, just how they are. And as sweet as we are, we do have one kind of mistake that gives us away, and that is the not even trying to speak the foreign language. Like, I'm here in Sweden, so I at least know tack, which is thank you. A lot of Americans just start right off in English, and it kind of puts us in a bad light because other tourists do that too from other countries, and they just assume that it's an ugly American when it's just people that actually only know English as their only other language. But yeah, that just not trying to speak a language kind of gives us a bad look. And then there's also the Swedish chef. Yes, Americans trying out the accent, or the accent they think that people should have or have in the country they're visiting. Like, you come to Sweden, you can't help it. You like envision the Swedish chef. And so you want to go, you flirty, flirty, you flirty, 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 flirty. You want to do that. Like, they're like, oh, American. Right away. Or, yes, we are going to speak the Queen's English today. Yes, could I have a spot of tea, a cuppa? Like, the overdoing the silly accent kind of stuff. You hear that, you're like, American. It's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things you're like, yeah, they do that sometimes. But all in all, there's nothing wrong with being an American traveling the world. We get found, we get noticed. But you know what? We have a video on how to spot Europeans when they come to the US. Yeah, those socks and sandals kind of give it away, my friends. And the lack of tipping, but I'll go to that in the other video. But what are ways that you can tell an American tourist when you travel, whether it's here in Europe or anywhere around the world? Let us know in the comments below. And be nice in the comments this time.